Good morning. It's Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers and much more. But this morning is Sunday, the 12th of February 2023. Numero 12, 12th of February, and it's program number 65, dedicated to Canto 25 for Purgatorio. Now, welcome to Isabel Tarquinio. This morning is quite important in the sense that Dante, as he moves forward into, up towards paradise, has to face a dilemma. And the dilemma is, how did the soul ever get into a body? And the other question is, how can he recognize these people, emaciated bodies, let's say, when they're not alive? I mean, they are in purgatorio, therefore they're dead. So where's the body? They can't have a body. So, and I found it very interesting that in this canto here, the word virtual reality, virtuale, immagine virtuale, it's what we see on our screen today. You can see me, I'm here, but you can't touch my body. It's the same what Dante had experienced in his dream. Now, the other important thing is, Purgatorio, did it come, did people know about Purgatorio before the year 1000? They didn't. It's sort of after one of the councils of the cardinals with the Pope, they decided, I think he said, I've read 1274. That means in Dante's time, the idea of Purgatorio came to be ideologically set up by the church for people to understand that a sin can be forgiven, but you still need the punishment in order to purify that soul before paradise. These are complex matters here. That's why Dante is still studied today, because in about 3 lines, he gives a whole summary of what is a very big topic sometimes. Most times, it's incredible. Welcome to Colin Rensley. Now, we are still amongst the gluttonous here, but they're moving out. Dante, Virgil, and Statius, they're moving out. And they're on a narrow path where there are flames down a gully. And as they move up the mountain, on the other side, you've got the wall. So you're moving along. And Dante is following, is actually in front of the other two. And he's worried. So he's sort of not concentrating. And of course, his guide, Virgil, notices it and says, "Hey, Dante, what are you doing? Come on, spill it out. Tell me what's bothering you." And that's where the canto starts, okay? And then the other thing, the other interesting part is that Virgil sort of si lava le mani, he washes his hands when... How do you work out this body and soul business? So he says, "Well, Statius, you explain it." And so Statius is like one of our scientists. He goes into it and he explains it, but it's an explanation that derives from the ideology of the church at the time. Okay, so it's 11:29. What else will I do today? Now, again, I have had problems with my computer because my iCloud restoration process, etc., I haven't been able to work it out yet. I will get there eventually. So all my images are stopped and the thing doesn't work properly. So I'll use a lower end technology in order to deliver my songs. Okay, and it'll be choral improviso number 8. I've sort of worked that one out so people can also learn, apart from my poetry, which I will read, and today is the introduction of felicità, of happiness. What is happiness, etc. In my opinion, that was written many years ago, and then we got to choral improviso. So all this Dante work is very well defined now, and we're getting something from each one of the sections. Okay, so it's 11:30 now, and the first thing that I said I would do, I will give a bit of a summary of a summary. Oh, go away. There we are. Come on. No. Okay, doesn't matter. I'll read it. The summary is this. Dante, Virgil, and Statius continue their climb. Reaching a narrow stairway, they must climb single file. Seeing Dante's puzzled expression, Virgil encourages him to ask the question that's bothering him. How, when souls don't require food, do these spirits become so thin? Statius replies, discussing at length the formation of the soul by God, the development of the physical body in the womb, and the spiritual bodies of the souls in purgatory. But not just in purgatory, sort of the souls and the body, the souls in all three cantiche, in all three, Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, the souls and the body, they are still together. They're still together. And that reminds me, what happens now that we have, for example, heart transplants and kidney and lung transplants. Where does the heart go with, I'm assuming it's all in the original body. So there is an explanation for it, but, you have to accept the explanation. So if you don't, it's okay. You work it out. Now, this difficult passage draws an Aristotelian philosophy to explain the relationship between the body and the soul. Statius first explains, according to the scientific understanding of the time, the development of the fetus in the womb, which put simply comes about through a coagulation of semen and menstrual blood. The fetus proceeds through various developmental phases, but how it develops an intellect, the thing that distinguishes it from, say, vegetables or animals, is not precisely understood. However, the key point is that God breathes a soul into the fetus, which makes it an individual person. This soul can never be separated from the person, which explains Dante's ability to recognize individuals in purgatory, even though they are not presently united to their bodies. The soul is the ground of the individual. That, in short, is why the spiritual bodies in purgatory, though intangible, recognizably reflected the true state of the individual soul, of the individual's souls, the different ones. Now, you can see that Dante has difficulties here, whilst I'm here, I might as well do something else here, and I'm ready to go with that one. Okay. Dante has difficulties because he has to come to grips with the idea that the soul really is superior to the body. It came first in a way. So when God breathed, he said, onto Adam, that's where they were at the time. We're talking about the 13th century here. And therefore, therefore, there's a different type of environment around the poet, around Dante, when he writes it. And also, we come out of a very dark period, the Middle Ages, but which wasn't so dark, really. But at the end of the day, because of this, things have calmed down in terms of wars in Europe, especially between the barbarians and the others, and people from the Roman Empire. So it took almost 700-800 years of fighting, and sort of for things to remain a little bit more calm. The age of chivalry came in, and people in the courts, they also came to know about, say, China and Marco Polo. These are real developments that precede the Renaissance, okay? So on that note, I'm going to start reading the Canto 25. Now, forgive me if I have difficulties myself in reading this, but I'll do my best. Ora era onde el salir non volea storpio, che il sole aveva il cerchio di merigge lasciato al tauro e la notte allo scorpio. Perché come fa l'uomo che non s'affligge, ma vassi alla via sua, che lì appaia, se di bisogno stimolo il trafigge, così intrammo noi per la callaia, uno innanzi altro prendendo la scala, che per altezza i salitor dispaia. Now, as we said, with Dante's Canti in general, the beginning is always a sort of a description where he's at in the journey. So here, it's after midday. It's about 2 o'clock apparently, and he mentioned Taurus and Scorpio. We know that these are the constellations, and in the knowledge of the time, the day was came to be the way it was because the constellations changed as the universe went around the world, around the earth. The constellation changed, and therefore the day continued in its 24-hour cycle. Interesting that everything revolves around the earth, which is not true, but that's where we were at the time. Even though before the advent of Christianity, the scientists had already worked out that the earth was not the center of the universe. Here we go. So as they were moving up, it was in the afternoon, they were conscious of the time that they had to get there to the seventh circle, or second place, where the lussuriosi. So after the gluttonous people, the lussurioso, the people who love luxury, is the last one of the sins that Dante tackles in Girone, around the mountain. Because after that, we reach Paradiso Terrestre at the end of Purgatorio, and then we go into Paradiso. So afterwards, Dante will tackle what's good in the world and what we should aim for and what are the rewards of this. So things are sort of moving towards there. So as he moves forward, he asks some thorny questions, and this is one of them, okay? E quale il cicognin che leva l'ala per voglia di volare e non s'attenta ad abbandonare lo nido e giù la cala. And then he said, I felt like a little cicognino, little bird. He says, I was fearful. I wanted to fly, but I stayed where I was. The desire was there to to move forward quicker, but I had to stand back because I wasn't quite sure yet. Tale era io con voglia accesa e spenta di dimandare. So, la mia voglia accesa, ma spenta di dimandare. In other words, I couldn't ask, but inside me it was eating me up, sort of thing. Venendo fino all'atto che fa colui che a dicer s'argomenta. Ok? Non lasciò per l'andar che fosse ratto lo dolce padre mio, ma disse, so Virgil notices, says, okay, I understand. This guy here needs to bring it out. Scocca l'arco del dir che infine al ferro hai tratto. So, come on, tell me what it is that's bothering you. All right? Allora sicuramente aprì la bocca e cominciai. Come si può far magro là dove l'uopo di nodrir non tocca? How can you lose weight when you can't eat? You can't eat. So how do you explain it? And so Virgil obliges with his knowledge because he comes from the time, he's a pre-Christian philosopher and, a great man from that time. But so he doesn't have the knowledge of the new. Okay, so he refers now to Dante and he says, se t'ammentassi come Meleagro si consumò al consumar d'un stizzo non fora, disse, e a te questo sì agro. E se pensassi come al vostro guizza dentro allo specchio vostra immagine, ciò che par duro ti parrebbe vizzo. Welcome to Antonio Danzi. So here, Virgil talks about Meleagro. Now, these are mythological, before here I've got some Meleagro uccise I due fratelli. La madre Altea impadronirsi del tizzone lo spense. So his mother, when he was born, this Meleagro, they told him that he would be burned if a particular piece of wood was burned. And so she took the piece of wood, she put it away until later, 20, 30 years later, this Meleandro had fighting with his brothers. He killed the two brothers. And the mother was so upset that she took the piece of wood and burnt it. And as a result, then Meleagro's life ended as well. Okay? So this is the way we are. It's again, I repeat, if you want to know more about Purgatorio, you have to come and get the books, because without that, you really, I've got so many notes here, it's incredible. But it's a real study and very interesting. Even the notes are so interesting. Okay, so that's where we are. So he says, this, that's what happens. Ma perché dentro a tuo voler sta adagio? Ecco qui sta. But I know that my explanation is not good enough for you, Dante. I know. But now I'm going to pass you on to Statius to study, work it out with him. Ma perché dentro a tuo voler sta adagio? Ecco qui stagio e io lui chiamo e prego che sia or sanator delle tue piagge. So let him be the doctor of your wounds, in other words, of your intellectual wounds, because he wants to know. So there is, there is there a need. Because Dante aim in Divina Commedia is to actually say, I'm right here, you follow what I say. So in other words, if you want to live well, this is what you have to do. Avoid doing those sins. But if you do too, just ask for forgiveness and then you'll be punished. But there's hope for you to reach higher ground, heaven. And this applies to both the afterlife and the life we lead now. So you try to do your best in life. Not like some people creating wars, this and that. They surely will be able to be punished eternally for what they're doing. But look at all the victims that they create, victims. But then if those people didn't die, what would happen? This is where I have difficulties myself understanding, God's will. Why does good and evil coexist? Why some people are being killed and others are being resurrected, sort of thing, and live a good life? What is it that makes the difference? And is it up to the individual all the time? No, there's also society that needs to be healthy. So that's where we have to contribute to society. It's a hard one. So here we go. This is what Stagio. Se la veduta è eterna, li dislego. Okay? So he wants li dislego, rispose Stagio. So here, Stagio, he says, finally, I've got something to say. So he starts with la veduta eterna. I'm going to explain to you how it works, this body and soul business. Rispose Stagio, là dove tu sei, discolpi me non potrò io far nego. Ok, so just listen to me and we'll go on. Poi cominciò. Se le parole mie, figlio mio, la mente tua guarda e riceve, lume ti fiero al come che tu dia. If you listen to me, then I'll explain it to you and you'll know a lot more. Isn't that what we say to our younger members of society? Do they believe us? Not always. Sangue perfetto che poi non si beve della setate vene e si rimane quasi alimento che dimensa leva. Prende nel cuore a tutte le membra umane virtute informativa come quello che a farsi quelle per le vene vane. So, sangue perfetto, it keeps the body going, ok? Ancor di gesto, scendo ov'è più bello tacer che dire, e quindi poscia geme sovra il tuo sangue natural vassello. We're talking about, again, the body and the soul and the blood. Ivi s'accoglie l'uno e l'altro insieme, l'un disposto a patire e l'altro a fare per lo perfetto loco onde si preme. E giunto lui comincia ad operare coagulando prima e poi avviva ciò che per sua natura fe constare. So here we go. This bit here, the explanation is the semen coagulates with the menstrual blood and you create a body. Good one. That's why they said, get married, sort of be, etc. Anima fatta la virtute attiva qual d'una pianta, but the soul, it's like that of a plant. Intanto differente, it's very different. Che questa invia e quella già arriva. That this is sort of beginning. And the other one, the body, has already arrived. So what happens then? How do they get together? Tanto ora poi che già si muove e sente come spungo marino e indi imprende ad organar le posse onde semente. So, spungo marino. So, si muove, sort of, this one here, which is lighter, moves towards it. Or si piega, figliuolo, or si distende la virtù che dal cor del generante, dove natura tutte membra intende. So, dal cor del generante, of God. Welcome to Antonio Angelino. So, God, in his wisdom, knows what to do in this case. Ma come d'animal divegna fante, non vedi tu ancora? Quest'è a tal punto che più savio di te fe già errante, sicché per sua dottrina fe disgiunto dell'anima il possibile intelletto, perché da lui non vide organo assunto. So here the explanation is you still don't know, you don't know why the two come together, but take note, sort of thing. Apri alla verità, open yourself to the truth, because Dante, in a way, wants to do what the church, in the image of Christ, not the corrupt part, wants from him. Apri alla verità, open yourself to the truth, che viene il petto, e sappi che, and know that, sì tosto come al feto l'articular del cerebro è perfetto. So, like the semen creates the body, okay? So the soul is sort of an intellectual part of the body. L'omotor primo a lui si volge lieto, sovra tant'arte di natura, e spira spirito nuovo, di virtù repleto, che ciò che trova attivo quivi tira in sua sostanzia e fassi un'alma sola che vive e sente e sé in sé rigira. So this spirit is injected into the body and it fills it up, di virtù repleto, it fills it up with this virtue of the soul. A spirito nuovo, new spirit injected in it. Nella sua sostanza, so the virtual part, if you like, becomes the substance of the body. That's why when we die, we say that the soul goes up, goes out of the body, but the dead body is retained in full until last judgment, when then God, Christ, will, the three of them or the one of them, whoever is in charge at the end, he says, you guys, I'm going to give you your body back. So you will burn in hell with your bodies alive, in your bodies. You will be punished in purgatorio with your body. So you have to, you have to follow, if you like, the punishment in order, but you got hope. And then you get to Paradiso, and you can have lots of parties there, can't you? Because the spirit is pure. The body has been restored. Unlike my computer here with iCloud. But here we go. I mean, honestly, this is a good explanation, but we'll see what happens. Ciò che trova attivo qui vi tira in sua sostanza e fassi un'alma sola che vive e sente e sé in sé rigira. E perché meno ammiri la parola, guardi il calor del sol che si fa vino, giunto all'amor che dalla vita cola. The wine, il calor del sole. Quando la chesis Stazio ora in questa terza ed ultima parte della sua spiegazione investe l'argomento della formazione delle ombre, l'anima si stacca dal corpo morto e utilizzando le sue potenze organizzative si forma un corpo aereo del tutto simile a quello terreno e in questo corpo così fatto ricostituisce i suoi organi, ride, piange, parla come se avesse non un corpo fittizio ma quello reale. So this is, and here it's the explanation. Quando la chesi, la parca che fila la stama della vita, non ha più filo. La chesi is one of the, in ancient times, one of the witches, if you like. It was spinning the wheel, and she decided when to cut what she was spinning. In other words, when to cut our life, individual lives. She was the one who was at the time. Then after the arrival of Christianity, of course, Dante still accepts that this is mythology. But says, watch it, you have to remember that the church, in other words, Christ, has the ultimate answer now. Ok. Quando la chesis non ha più del lino, solvesi della carne e in virtute ne porta seco all'umano, e l'umano è il divino. l'altre potenze tutte quante muta, memoria, intelligenza e volontà in atto molto più che prima acuta. So brings everything in. Senza restarsi per se stessa cade mirabilmente a l'una delle rive, qui vi conosce prima le sue strade. Tosto che loco lì, là circumscrive, la virtù formativa raggia intorno, così è quanto nella membra vive. Non appena l'anima è giunta all'una e all'altra delle due rive, so the soul from the tree, that's the one for the intellect, and the soul from the body, that's the one from the semen and the coagulation of menstrual blood, they have to come together. When they do come together, then things get better. E come l'aria quando è bel giorno per l'altrui raggio che in sé si riflette di diverso color diventa adorno, così l'aria vicin qui vi si mette in quella forma che in lui suggella virtualmente. Here is the word, virtually. Dante mentions the word virtually. Can you imagine that? Con l'aria vicino a qui vi si mette in quella forma che in lui suggella virtualmente. That is his very word. L'alma che ristette. So breathes the soul. È somigliante poi alla fiammella che segue il fuoco, là ovunque si muta, segue lo spirito sua forma novella. And so once it's in the body, it follows it, regard for eternal life. Come una fiammella. It remains. And I think that fiammella maybe got to do with the Trinity as well. I don't know. It's sort of, at the time Dante was very well aware of the church's policies and ideologies, and the fact that scientific knowledge was testing these beliefs. Però che quindi a poscia sua paruta è chiamata ombra, le ombre, e quindi organa poi ciascun sentire infine alla veduta. So these souls then become ombre. What you see now of me is my ombra. It's not me. I'm at home in front of the computer. Can you touch me? You can't. I'm like a shadow. I'm like a shadow. And that's exactly what happens in the afterlife. Great explanation in a way. Quindi parliamo e quindi ridiamo noi, quindi facciamo le lacrime e i sospiri che per lo monte aver sentiti puoi. So we feel in the same way. Secondo che ci affliggono i disiri e gli altri affetti, l'ombra si figura. So regardless of what we are experiencing here, our shadow, our ombra is here. That's the one that you see. E questa è la cagione di che tu miri, and that's the reason why you're watching all these souls, and you can recognize, their bodies through their shadow. È già venuta l'ultima tortura, s'era por noi volta la man destra ed eravamo attenti ad altra cura. And so Stazio finishes his explanation. È già venuta l'ultima tortura. So they came to the end, to the last sort of tortura. They were going around and up. We're going and up. And I think it's time for me to show you, a picture. Let's see if it's still here. Yes. Yes. Here, have a look. There it is there. See the souls up there on that, up the top? Here. There, and the angels there, and of course, the burning. There are other images. Again, Dante Dante's provided a lot of, his imagery is unbelievable. And we see that in a lot of our films today. A lot of our films, and the good ones, the ones that that we really love. I love watching anyway. A lot of Dante's images in the poetry can be made into a virtual reality. Ok, so qui è volta la mandestia ed eravamo attenti ad altra cura. So è già venuto all'ultima tortura, at the last round, curve, ed eravamo attenti ad altra cura, and we were watching, attenti, in other words, the sun, are we going to make it, etc., better hurry up, things like that. Quivi la ripa fiamma in fuor balestra, la ripa fiamma, the flames, e la cornice spira fiato insuso che la riflette via da lei sequestro. So the wind creates this great flame. Ondirne convia dal lato schiuso ad uno. So we had to come around one by one. E io temea il fuoco, quindi e quindi temeva cader giusto. So, and I was, on one hand, worried about the flames, and on the other hand, will I fall from here into the abyss? Lo duca mio diceva, my Virgil said, per questo loco si vuol tenere agli occhi stretto il freno, però che rar potrebbe sì per poco. Ok? So watch out, tenere agli occhi stretto il ferro, il freno. You have to slow down, because if you don't, there's a risk of falling. Summa Deus clemenzia nel seno al grande ardore, allora udì cantando che rivolgermi fe caler non meno. And again, as you enter a new girone in Purgatorio, there is this chorus of song that welcomes them. Why the songs? We didn't get that in Inferno. Here, the song is the song of hope. Here, Dio di somma clemenza, la qual cosa mi fece desiderare rivolgermi verso le fiamme, non meno che di tenere gli occhi attenti alla strada che percorrevamo. So he had to do the two things. He had to watch where he put his feet, and he was listening to this beautiful chorus about the clemenza, the clemenza di Dio. Dio di somma clemenza, il Dio misericordioso, the one who understands that, humans and their faults, and therefore says, okay, but it's also a just being. And that's so these souls here are singing to him, saying, well, you're the greatest, etc., etc. That's what you do with an emperor, or the king, or people, the CEOs of companies now, or the politicians who are right at the top, even ones who are further down, they still expect you to bow to them. It's part of human nature. However, you must remember that misericordia is important, okay? Forgiving and showing a certain humanity towards others. Ok. E vidi spiriti per la fiamma andando. I better read a little bit here. Summe Deus clementia nel seno al grande ardore, allora udì cantando, nel grande ardore, in the flames, che di volger mi fe caler non meno. E vidi spiriti per la fiamma andando, perché io guardavo a loro e ai miei passi compartendo la vista a quando. So the Spirit saw him as well. Okay, but notice he doesn't talk about an individual spirits anymore. Appresso il fine che quell'inno fassi gridavano alto, virum non cognosco. Appresso. dopo aver cantato l'inno fino alla sua conclusione, almeno alla fine il termine per in genere si possa farsi, fino alle parole con cui di solito si conclude l'inno, le anime gridavano a voce alta, non conosco uomo. So in other words, I don't know this guy, who is he? So they're referring to him. So after the hymn, they wanted to know, they were curious about him being there. Finito anche gridavano, al bosco si tenne Diana, ed Erice caccionne che di Venere aveva sentito il tosco. Finito l'inno, ancora una seconda volta gridavano, Diana per conservarsi casta. You remember the goddess Diana? She was, she was a hunter in the bush, in the forest, and in order, she was hunting because she wanted to remain casta. She wanted to remain pure, untouched by, by men. E respinse l'amore, ne cacciò via Erice che aveva assaporato il veleno di Venere, la lussuria. It's beautiful. So she put this Erice, this servant of hers, who had fallen in love, a assaporare l'amore, ok? Il secondo esempio di castità deriva dalla mitologia e Dante trovò il testo del mito in Ovidio, in Metamorphosis, capitolo 2, 401-530. God, these people who study Dante, they're unbelievable. They absolutely, I mean, 700 years now, 800 years of people having read Dante and trying to explain everything about him, about what he says. Diana, dea dei boschi, fu anche dea della castità. All'obbligo della castità erano tenute anche le sue ninfe. So whoever was helping her, also they had to be chaste. Non così fece Erice che si lasciò sedurre da Giove. Giove was, of course, the king of the gods. How could she say no? Da cui ebbe un figlio. Giunone, that's the wife of Jupiter, of Giove, per gelosia la trasformò nella costellazione dell'Orsa Maggiore. When you look at Orsa Maggiore, detta anche Elice, il figlio Arcade diventò un astro. So they became stars in the sky. Ok. Venito anche gridavano, al bosco si tenne Diana ed Elice caccionne che di Venere aveva sentito il tosco. Indi al cantar tornavano, indi donne gridavano e mariti che fuor casti come virtù e matrimonio imponne. E questo modo credo che lor basti per tutto il tempo che il fuoco li abbruscia. Con tal cura convien e con tai pasti che la piaga da sezzo si ricuscia. So in other words, and in this way here, questo ritmo per cui alternano inni ed esempi a voce alta e bassa, io credo che duri, basta e che essi lo osservino per tutto il tempo che li brucia il fuoco purificatore. Con questa cura, con questa medicina del fuoco, in questi pasti spirituali, gli esempi e la preghiera è necessario che si rimargini alla fine la piaga, la ferita del peccato. It's the way they express. I can't do that in English. I've tried my best, but honestly, the more I go into the Dante, the more I realize just how little I know, and you need to come back to him. But I get it's like going through a forest, you go through the forest, and then the second time around, it's easier. And that's happened to me with choral improviso, not learning the songs, but doing them. As I've gone on, I've noticed that I understand the way the singers sing the various lyrics, and where they also make mistakes as well. It's not always, but they spend lots and lots and lots of time on one single song, in order for it to be as perfect as it can be. But is that the way we're going to live? But that's what people do. A lot of people concentrate on the one thing in life, and they're very successful, and then they think that they know everything. Well, it's not true. You know what you know. That's it. And it's unbelievable. For me, it's been one of the best activities I've ever taken in my life, and I am glad that I can share it with you virtually. But if you come to Federazione Lucana, but I can't do it, you'd have to have a class of very select few to be able to go through this. It'll taking me 2 years now. It'll be 2 years and something before I finish it. But I'm determined, because I think in order to speed it up, I might do a couple of these a week. One of them will be whenever I want, and the one on Sunday I will retain. And there'll always be both in Facebook, and of course to be transferred to YouTube and Insegna.com and Blogspot, etc. Okay, so that's that. It's 12:10. I've done a bit too long, but anyway, now today you have to forgive me, La Felicità. I don't know whether I should do this in English or in Italian. Maybe I'll do this in English first, because then people, when I read the Italian next week, it's a whole page of my writing about happiness. Happiness. Here we are. I wrote this many years ago, of course. And as a result of that, I followed through with a lot of poetry about happiness. Not a lot, a few, which I will read, as we go along. So let's read this, and then we'll go to the music, to the songs. Happiness is a state of being, of living, of the positive. Humans and also animals, even the environment, the community or the institutions, can find themselves in a phase of happiness. Feeling happy can last for a period of time. It varies from situation to situation. We often find happiness in our idealistic interpretation of the existence of facts that give us hope for a better future. Happiness is above all an exalting sentiment that makes us feel light, that makes us appreciate how beautiful everything that surrounds us is. Often happiness is born from love, sometimes when we least expect it. It always brings satisfaction, so much optimism, a great deal of peace. For these reasons, happiness is sought and recognized as one of the most important factors in our existence. Now, that was very well put, really. I mean, I wrote this maybe 30 years ago, or even more. Happiness idealizes the birth of a child from a young mother's point of view. The miracle of birth brings to her a delirious happiness, which in this state she expresses self-doubt about her ability to raise the baby. Many mothers have difficulties. She hopes for a good future and foresees the ultimate joy of one day continuing her life through her creation. And that's true. You live through your children, and mothers know that. Imprisoned with happiness, this regards a little canary that was in my mother's house where I lived in Kew, and one day, Imprisoned with Happiness, I wrote a poem about it. Imprisoned with Happiness explores the concept that we can only derive happiness from security. In the case of the canary, used to a monotonous life with her companion in a cage, realizing freedom means a loss of security. When she is made to return to her prison, the female canary reappraises her own existence. That's a good one, that one. Most of the time, happiness has need of freedom. It brings joy and pleasure. It makes whoever has it powerful. It seems that fortune brings to the happy people only goodness and well-being, that their life is successful, that everything arrives to them favorably. They are victorious and strong beings. Happiness is not, however, lasting or exclusive. Therefore, it goes walking amongst men and women, old people and children, even amongst canaries. That's the poem that I wrote about. In this, my collection of reflections on happiness, you will find examples of who is happy and in what circumstances. It's not that happiness can be captured or retained by those who feel happy. In fact, it is so frivolous and changing that it's capable of disappearing even before the happy person is aware of it. So when you got happiness, it's virtual, you can't hold it. Whoever wants to be happy can be happy. There's no certainty about tomorrow, and worrying too much about mundane things doesn't bring to anyone that daily possibility of finding happiness, which in reality is always within reach. So I say, if you mind your own business, if you if you're happy, optimistic, look to the future, you do all that sort of things. It may look like, you're a bit of a fool by doing that. People don't believe you because they want to talk about the nasty things of life. And that's why I try to avoid those situations and concentrate on my work now, of the intellect. That's it. That's my. Now I can't read you that. Otherwise, I won't be able to do. I'll read you the English next week on happiness. Okay, with Canto 26. And now this is a new one. I couldn't work out, people. My. Let me see what I'm going to do here. I couldn't work out the iCloud business because that's where I've got my pictures. So I've had to survive some other way. Okay, here we go. And this is now this other way. We start here. There we are. This is a picture of this week with Reno and Dora. And that's another one. And then we start. I don't have to look it up. It's the 9th of February 2023. And here I am with this wonderful people here. And we're enjoying ourselves. Every time we see each other, it's, it's a good time. It's a good time. And today we have some songs, but the 6 songs we're going to do, some of them, Dora's going to have, she does.
I'm not very experienced.
Yeah, but these songs here need to be presented also.
That's okay.
And the way we do them,
the best we can.
But the way we do them, we sing them. I sing them with Reno.
Yeah.
Reno and I. We try to put our own stamp on it, in the sense that we're not going to go the high notes or whatever. It's more like a good reading. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's it. That's it. We're going to do now the first one. We're going to do Libertad, made famous, of course, by Albano and Romina Pera. And you can us, Albano. When you see this online, we're only having fun, okay?
Yeah, you gotta get a
all right.
Albano.
But if you like them, you can write to me. TomPadula, being cheeky there. Now that's it. I can go to the next one. Okay. What happens here? Come on. Libertà. Scende la sera sulle spalle di un uomo che se ne va. Oltre la notte nel suo cuore un segreto si porterà. Tra case e chiese una donna sta cercando chi non c'è più. E nel tuo nome quanta gente non tornerà. Libertà, quanti hai fatto piangere senza te, quanta solitudine, fino a che avrà un senso vivere, io vivrò per avere te, libertà, quando un coro s'alzerà, canterà per avere te. C'è carta bianca sul dolore e sulla pelle degli uomini. Cresce ogni giorno il cinismo nei confronti degli umili. Ma nasce un sole nella notte e nel cuore dei deboli. E dal silenzio la voce rinascerà. Libertà. Quando hai fatto piangere senza te, quanta solitudine, fino a che avrà un senso vivere, io vivrò per avere te, libertà, quando un coro s'alzerà, canterà per avere libertà, fino a che avrà un senso vivere, io vivrò per avere te, libertà. Libertà. Now notice with that song there that the words are very clear, but when Albano and Romina sing, Albano's got all those notes, very high, and if you've got difficulties with your hearing, you won't understand the words correctly, and so you won't be able to sing them. So the best thing to do now is to actually look up the lyrics first, and you can enjoy the song in full, both musically and as poetry, because songs are poems, really and truly. Okay, next one. Here we go with the second song of the first set, Reno, and we're going to do Mi innamoro di te, made famous by I ricchi e poveri. And, noi siamo i ricchi qua, e Dora è la povera perché... la musica. But we're going to try. Let's see what we can do, okay? Try. And don't forget, people, you can try too. Don't worry. You only learn from your mistakes. You don't learn from what you already know.
Build yourself a bit. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just gotta wait a little bit.
Mi innamoro di te. Mi innamoro di te, anche se non vuoi. Mi hai detto che non ami mai. Mi innamoro di te perché devo amare e perché sei tu che so cantare. È un'emozione, è una cosa che è talmente mia. Tu se vuoi, di alla notte di andar via. Mi innamoro di te perché ho un nudo al cuore e che voglio non ti so scordare. Mi innamoro di te perché forse è meglio. Mi innamoro anche se magari sbaglio. È una stagione la più bella e calda che ci sia. Tu se vuoi puoi impedirle di andar via. È un amore non speciale, tu lo puoi portare via. È un amore che ti tiene compagnia. Mi innamoro di te che mi fai volare e di tutto il blu di questo amore. Mi innamoro di te come dell'estate perché allunghi un po' la mia giornata. C'è una ragione, la più bella e dolce che ci sia. Tu se vuoi puoi chiamarla nostalgia. Mi innamoro di te te, so che non dovrei, mi innamoro di te, di come sei, mi innamoro di te, di ogni tuo momento, mi innamoro di te, perché lo sento, è un'emozione, è una cosa che è talmente mia, se tu vuoi, di alla notte di andar via, mi innamoro di te in tutti i sensi, mi innamoro anche se tu non mi pensi, mi innamoro di te che non sai niente, mi innamoro di te completamente, mi innamoro di te in tutti i sensi, mi innamoro anche se tu non mi pensi, mi innamoro di te che non ne sai niente, mi innamoro di te completamente.
Again, that particular song there, the words, but when you listen to it with the music, it's so much, more entertaining. Let's not forget, though, that we want to sing ourselves. Therefore, when we listen to others, we learn from that, we thank them. Umberto Tozzi, grazie mille. Okay, so we got to the next one now. Here we go. Just a little bit of a wait.
This is the third song of the first set for today, and it's I giorni dell'arcobaleno, of course, made famous by none other than Nicola Di Bari. What a singer, a wonderful guy who's left us, a big, really, a big list of beautiful songs, and he's still there, so tanti auguri Nicola Di Bari, dovunque tu sia. I giorni dell'arcobaleno. Erano i giorni dell'arcobaleno, finito l'inverno, tornava il sereno. E tu con negli occhi la luna e le stelle, sentivi una mano sfiorar la tua pelle. E mentre impazzivi, profumo dei fiori, la notte si è accesa di mille colori, distesa sull'erba come una che sogna, giacesti bambina, ti alzasti già donna. Tu adesso ti vedi grande di più, sei diventata più forte e sicura. È iniziata l'avventura, ormai sono bambine le amiche di prima che si ritrovano in gruppo a giocare e sognano ancora sul raggio di luna. Vivi la vita di donna importante perché a 16 anni hai già avuto un amante. Ma un giorno saprai che ogni donna è matura all'epoca giusta e con giusta misura. E in questa tua corsa incontro all'amore ti lascia alle spalle il tempo migliore. Now we know that the actual song by Nicola Di Bari is beautiful, but we are interested in the words. So we've given you the words. We've tried it a few times there, a couple of times, which we normally don't do. So obviously this one here, this particular song requires a lot more practice, and we'll do that in the future. But in the meantime,
We'll keep it the way it is.
we'll keep it the way it is.
So there you are. We keep it the way it is. In other words, these particular podcasts of mine are designed for instructional. Being a teacher of languages, I'm interested in the words, and I'm interested in people learning or improving their own language. So if you want to improve, your written English or Italian or whatever, come to see me. I will always be let's face it, I've decided to to go to the general public with Insegna booksellers because I realized that that in today's world with the technology, and I've been dealing with technology now for almost 45 years, since 1980. I began even before that, but that when I was at Hadfield High School, that's when it all started. And since then, I've sort of understood what technology can do, but actually learning everything about technology requires a great commitment as well. So a good study, technology in a way is a bit like learning a language. You need to learn the grammar of it in order to understand how to navigate your own experience. And this is where I've come late to it, because my belief was, I'll do the content, someone else can do the actual technology. But a lot of people are not unreliable. You have to, they need to be paid as well, and therefore they're not always available to you. They've got their own lives to lead. So unless you're a big company doing this, but this is an individual effort. What I do now is an individual effort. The power of one, huh? And people say to me, how do you do this? Well, there are only 24 hours in the day for me and for you. How do I do it? I don't know. I just do it. That's probably the reason. And I'm not afraid of making the mistakes, because I do learn from the mistakes and I'm grateful to them. And as a result as well, you will understand politics a bit better. Sometimes people in power make mistakes, big mistakes, and then that opens up new doors. But the victims along the way, that's another story. I just want to remind people now that I will be doing the second lesson of Cucina e Salute, Cooking and Health with Tom Padula, live on Facebook during the week. I'm not going to tell you when. Look for it. Once it's done, of course, it'll be retained in my page, Tom Padula, on Facebook. Okay, and eventually it'll go on the other platforms. For now, I want to thank you, all those people who come on today. I appreciate your comment as well, Antonio. I encourage everyone to also share my work. It's an important work that it might sound boring, but it's really done with you in mind. Okay? On that note, arrivederci. Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers.